Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Here we are again looking at ATER. So for ATER today we are looking at a decrease of about 12% in the share price. We can see this is after a red day yesterday, and ultimately the past 5 days are looking quite red for the stock right now. Let's talk about what's going on. We're going to have a look at the options as well, and of course doing a bit of a technical analysis at the end of the video. All of that is coming up in the next 10 or so minutes. If it sounds good, make sure to leave a like on this video and of course subscribe, but do make sure to remember this is not financial advice. It's all just my personal opinion, and you guys definitely should inform yourselves and be completely educated regarding the risks regarding this stock. But yeah, now we're going to jump into it and have a look at what we are seeing across this stock and across the wider markets as a whole. And we're going to start off by looking at how the markets have been moving across the top here. So ultimately things are looking fairly okay, but not particularly good for the markets today. If you have a quick read of the data across the top for the S&P 500, for the Dow Jones, and for the Nasdaq and the Russell 2000 as well. Sure, things are up, but not really by too much, as you can see, only by relatively small numbers. And again, even down here on the Nasdaq for a small period, and also on the Russell 2000, we almost did not make it, as we did dip into the red for a bit of time on both of these indices actually. So we can see, yeah, it's been a mixed day ultimately, but things did manage to pull themselves into the green so far on this market. Now we're going to have a look at what we are seeing for ATER in relation to this, and obviously it does somewhat follow it for the morning section, in the sense that we did have a bit of a spike up followed by a big drop, but it hasn't really seen that growth towards the end of day that we have seen across some of the markets. Now obviously it's not going to follow the markets completely, correctly. It's going to have its own factors going on, and I think that is what we are seeing towards the end of day. But yeah, we are seeing a pretty red day for this stock. So we've seen the markets in the green, but that's not really the whole story, because the markets are in the green by a very small amount. And when we look over here to a few of our favourite other stocks, which are kind of relatable to this one as well, we're seeing AMC, which is in the red by about 3% today. We are seeing BBIG, which is also in the red by about 3% today. We're seeing MRIN down by about 10%. We're seeing Lucid, which is actually up by about 7%, but we're seeing ATER clearly down, in comparison. So a few things are down today, a few of these quote-unquote meme stocks, so something that is kind of similar to a lot of other stocks in this field. You definitely could argue that ATER is taking it a bit harder than a few of the other stocks, but that's just what we are seeing for this stock today. And of course, there are particular specific reasons for that. When we look out to the past 5-day and 1-month charts, you guys will see that people who bought ATER at the highs are going to be down by a significant portion of money, and even people who bought up here or here. And these people may honestly be contemplating holding ATER stock. And again, that's completely fine. Everybody has their own trading strategy, but I think at some points we probably will lose a few people, perhaps due to paper handing or different strategies or whatever you want to call it. But I think that's something that we do have the potential to see along the way, and of course that definitely could be exacerbated by seeing drops in price consecutively, like what we have seen for the past 2 or so days. So it is definitely something to think about when it comes to potentially why people are selling. Obviously we know this is a relatively heavily shorted stock anyway, for what it is, and again that's why a lot of people see this as a quote-unquote short squeeze stock in the first place. But let's have a look first at the options and then get into that sort of detail in just a little while longer. So we're going to scroll up here and we're going to have a look at these options, which are expiring in 16 days. So you can see we're going to actually reset a few of these. We're going to show all of them, and we're actually going to look at we're going to set the date to the most recent one. So you can see, this is the options which are expiring in 16 days. Because so far, and of course, there is a lot of time to go until these do expire, but we're seeing some good numbers for these options so far, and we're definitely close to freeing up some more options, which would be really ideal for this stock going forwards. We'll talk about that in just a moment when it comes to the calls, but first I want to take a moment to look at the puts. So as you would expect with the price dropping, we've seen quite a few puts in the money. Now we've got a long way to go until these options do expire, as I have said, so anything can happen, but so far we've seen puts all the way up to 12.50 being in the money, and realistically we're looking at relatively big volume for puts at 12.50. So we do not want to break any lower than that, because if we come down to $10, we're going to see an extra 7,800 being freed up, which would not be ideal. Come down to 750 and you're going to see an extra 400 being freed up as well. Now come up here and have a look at the calls. You can see that so far call options are really extremely low for this stock, all the way up to the mark of about the 750 point. But coming up to $10, you can see we have options of about 2,100 in volume. Come up to 1250, we see in volume of 4,500, and come all the way up to 15, you're going to be seeing volume of an extra 5,600. So really, ideally, if we can get up to 1250 by the 16-day period, that would be nice. Of course, the higher we go, the more we get up. We're seeing really big numbers coming up here as we do go on, but realistically, come up to 1250 and we'll have a lot more in. Come up to 15, we'd have a ton more in. So if we can get up to 15 in the next 16 days, that would be ideal. Of course, you do see a few other big numbers coming up to points like 20, 25, so on and so on. But really, we see the big numbers actually very close to where we are right now. And because we have such a long period of time, I think it is possible that we could get to that point, you know, in the amount of time that it would potentially take to see the price rise by that much. But now let's have a look at the data that we are seeing on the 1 day, 5 day and 1 month chart when it comes to the technical indicators. So on the 1 day, we've seen a moving average of 10.25. The reason why it's so much higher than where we are right now is clearly because of this drop that we have sustained most recently, and this being a lagging indicator hasn't really had the opportunity to catch up right now. We're seeing the MACD trend being extremely bearish right now. That's also due to the fact that we have had this drop, and we're seeing an RSI figure at 42, which is relatively okay. Come out to the 5 day chart, you will be seeing a moving average of about 10.27, I believe it was, or 10.37, so a little bit higher than where we are right now. 10.37 it was, now dropping down to 10.36, but yeah, that is obviously adjusting due to that drop that we have been seeing most recently, but it is a 5 day indicator, so it is having trouble catching up, as you would expect. And coming down here to the RSI, we're sat at 38, so yeah, we're not too far away from being neutral, honestly, but we definitely are getting there. You know, we have a while to go until we are oversold, but we are definitely coming down in numbers. Coming out to the 1 month chart, you can see the numbers become a bit more level, as we are seeing a moving average figure on the 50 day of 832. This is always going to be lagging behind where we are right now, because it does track the past 50 days, so it's obviously going to take a while to catch up. We're seeing volume today, according to Yahoo Finance, of 16.46 million, and we are seeing a MACD trend, which was actually bullish, but now it certainly is crossing over and becoming more bearish after these 3 days of consecutive sell-off. So on the RSI down here, we are seeing a RSI figure of 49, so that's not too bad either. But let's have a look at what I think about what's going on right now and what I think about going forwards with this stock. So ultimately, what would be a very nice level to see is a bounce off the $10 mark. It's definitely something that can happen. I would be looking for that. We have seen it in the past at levels here, arguably here, and of course going on from that point onwards. We definitely could potentially bounce off the $10 mark, and that would be ideal. We definitely have hit the $9 mark at some points today, as you can see, with that wick sticking out down here. But we also did the same here and here with those long wicks coming out of the candles either way. But yeah, I think there is some real potential for us to bounce off this level of 10. It does depend on a few factors, of course. We definitely could see it drop lower, but if we see a relatively okay market, if we see the interest remain from investors, there is no reason why it can't see a bit of a bounce. Now, I know, guys, this is something that I say very often, but it is very true. It's a simple factor, and I know it's very easy for everybody to understand, so I don't want to be patronizing to anybody, but it's very clear, in my opinion, that if we see the interest from retail continue, I think we do have the potential to see the stock push higher. I think what we've seen in the past few days is relatively low volume, and of course there are a number of factors for that, from people not selling too much perhaps to people not buying too much, and that's completely fine. But I think if we do see that volume come back, if we see the long interest remain, if we see the retail interest remain, I think there's no reason why this stock can't see higher highs in the future. Now, one thing that we have seen in the past 6 months or so, we have seen relatively high highs when we zoom out a little bit. We've hit almost $20 in the stock, so it definitely is possible that we could be seeing something like that in the future. Again, for a short squeeze, as people do see this stock, I think it is also definitely possible, but it goes back to what I said just a few moments ago. Can we see the interest from retail remain? If we can, perhaps we can see a short squeeze, but we'll just have to see what happens in the next few days. Ultimately, though, I will be personally watching the stock very closely in the next few days, so hopefully I'll be making more and more videos on it as time does go on. Thank you for watching this one. I'll see you all soon. Goodbye. So thank you for watching through till the end, but let me tell you about our Discord. So on your screen, you will be seeing the N2S Finance Discord. Obviously, it is split into multiple sections. Basically, at the top, we have updates from me and all that kind of good stuff. If you scroll down a bit further, we have the main sections where we focus on cryptos, SPACs, and other hot stocks, including penny stocks, even stable growth stocks as well. And we even have a special AMC GME chat. If you scroll down, you can see some research and DD from the community. We also have funny memes, and you can see actual contributions from members down here. And again, if you do join us, it is completely free, link is down below. But if you do want to become a Patreon, you will actually get a pink sticker which will be displayed on your name. So your name will come up in pink as mine comes up in red down here, and that will show that you are a Patreon. But other than that, guys, you can join completely for free down below. You do not have to pay anything if you do not want to. Thank you for watching, see you soon.